The 2023 Meitei-Kuki conflict, debunking Cocomi's allegations and unraveling the reality of violence. As of 4:10 p.m. IST on Wednesday, July 9, 2025, the Meitei-Kuki conflict in Manipur, which erupted on May 3, 2023, continues to cast a long shadow over the state. This violent clash, pitting the Meitei community of the Imphal Valley against the Kuki people of the hills, has claimed over 200 lives and displaced more than 60,000 individuals. Amid this turmoil, the Coordinating Committee on Manipur Integrity, Cocomi, a prominent Meitei organization, has persistently framed the conflict as a war against narcoterrorism, alleging that the Kukis are deeply involved in drug trafficking and illegal migration from Myanmar, with groups like the KUKI National Army, KNA, and Zomi Revolutionary Army, ZRA, at the forefront. Alongside Chief Minister Biren Singh, Cocomi has sought to justify the violence as a necessary security measure. However, a meticulous examination of the events since May 2023 reveals that this narrative crumbles under the weight of evidence, pointing instead to a systematic campaign of ethnic cleansing targeting the Kuki community. This analysis delves into the unfolding conflict, debunking Cocomi's claims while highlighting the brutal reality on the ground. Cocomi's allegations: a flawed narrative. Cocomi's assertion that the conflict is a war against narcoterrorism hinges on the accusation that the Kukis are a major force in Manipur's drug trade, leveraging their proximity to Myanmar's Golden Triangle to flood the state with narcotics. They further allege that illegal migration from Myanmar has bolstered Kuki numbers, enabling insurgent groups to destabilize the region. This portrayal, echoed by Biren Singh, aims to cast the Meiteis as defenders of law and order, with the violence framed as a response to a criminal threat rather than an ethnic vendetta. Yet, this narrative fails to withstand scrutiny when measured against the patterns of violence that have defined the conflict since its inception. The drug trade argument, while not entirely baseless given Manipur's geographic position, lacks substantiation as the primary driver of the clashes. There is no comprehensive evidence linking the majority of Kuki civilians to narcoterrorism, and the scale of the attacks targeting homes, places of worship, and vulnerable individuals far exceeds what would be expected in a drug enforcement operation. Instead, the violence appears driven by ethnic animosity, with Cocomi's claims serving as a convenient smokescreen to deflect from the systematic nature of the assaults. The involvement of state actors, including police and militia groups like Arambai Tengol, further complicates the narco-terrorism narrative, suggesting a coordinated effort that transcends mere crime suppression. The conflict unfolds. May 3, 2023, and beyond. The conflict ignited on May 3, 2023, following a tribal solidarity rally organized by the All-Tribal Student Union Manipur, ATSUM, to protest a Manipur High Court suggestion to grant scheduled tribe (ST) status to the Meites. This proposal alarmed the Kukis, who feared it would erode their land rights and economic opportunities, sparking tensions that quickly escalated into violence. Within hours, Meitei mobs began targeting Kuki settlements, marking the beginning of a relentless campaign that would reshape the state's social landscape. In the initial days, the violence was staggering. Reports indicate that by May 10, 2023, 77 Kukis had been killed by Meitei mobs, compared to just 10 Meitei deaths. The Imphal Valley became a battleground, with Kuki neighborhoods raided and homes set ablaze. Eyewitness accounts describe mobs, some armed and supported by police commandos, storming areas like Churachandpur and Kangpokpi, leaving a trail of destruction. By the end of May, the death toll had risen to over 100, with the Kukis bearing the brunt, and official estimates later placed their losses at 113 by July 2023, against 62 Meitei deaths. The official count, as of late 2024, stands at 258, with the majority being Kuki-Zo individuals. The destruction extended beyond human lives. Entire Kuki villages, such as Kangvai and Torbung, were torched, forcing families to flee to the forests with little more than the clothes on their back. Over 2,000 homes were reduced to ashes, and accounts from survivors speak of over 400 places of worship damaged or destroyed, with some estimating as many as 253 completely burnt down. This widespread devastation struck at the heart of Kuki communities, erasing not just physical structures but also cultural and spiritual landmarks. June 2023 brought some of the most harrowing incidents. On June 6, a mob attacked an ambulance carrying a 7-year-old Kuki boy, Tonzing Hangzing, his Meitei mother Mina, and their neighbor Lydia. The boy had been injured by a stray bullet and was under police escort, but the crowd, driven by a rumor of Kuki militants being evacuated, set the vehicle ablaze, killing all three. This act of brutality, widely reported by local media, underscored the indiscriminate nature of the violence, targeting civilians regardless of their ethnic identity when associated with Kukis. The incident sparked outrage, yet it was only one of many. Sexual violence emerged as a chilling weapon in the conflict. On July 20, 2023, a video surfaced showing 2 Kuki women in her 40s, the other in her 20s being stripped naked, paraded, slapped, and subjected to gang rape by what appeared to be Meitei men. Their father and teenage brother were murdered during the attack, and police present at the scene failed to intervene. This incident, which drew global condemnation, highlighted the targeting of the most vulnerable and the apparent complicity of state forces. Reports of similar assaults on Kuki women continued to surface, painting a picture of systematic, gender-based violence aimed at breaking the community's spirit. The conflict's toll on students, officers, and soldiers further belied the narcoterrorism narrative. Meitei mobs, often numbering in the thousands, attacked educational institutions, government offices, and military outposts where Kuki personnel were stationed. In Churachandpur, a mob stormed a school dormitory, injuring several Kuki students, while in Imphal, Kuki police officers were dragged from their posts and beaten. These attacks, far removed from drug-related targets, suggested a broader ethnic purge. Displacement became a defining feature of the crisis. By July 2023, over 60,000 people, predominantly Kukis, had been forced from their homes. Relief camps sprang up across the hills, housing families who had lost everything. Many others fled to the forests, living in makeshift shelters amid ongoing threats. Authorities were accused of exacerbating the situation by evicting tribal villagers from forest areas, a move that stripped the Kukis of their ancestral lands and livelihood. This mass exodus, documented by humanitarian organizations, reflected a calculated effort to render the Kuki presence untenable. The role of the state government has come under intense scrutiny. Critics point to Chief Minister Biren Singh's policies, internet shutdowns, inflammatory speeches, and the arming of village defense groups as fueling the violence. The withdrawal of the suspension of operations (SOO) agreement with Kuki insurgent groups in March 2023, followed by security audits of their camps, heightened tensions. Allegations of police bias surfaced repeatedly, with reports of commandos aiding Meitei mobs in attacks on Kuki areas. The failure to investigate or prosecute perpetrators, even when groups like Arambai Tengal were implicated, has fueled suspicions of state complicity. A notable incident in August 2023 saw police stand by as a Kuki village was looted, with officers allegedly confiscating weapons from Kuki defenders while ignoring Meitei aggressors. The violence persisted into 2024 and 2025, with sporadic clashes keeping the region on edge. In March 2024, a fresh wave of attacks in Mora left 10 Kukis dead, prompting Kuki groups to impose a total shutdown. The imposition of President's rule on February 13, 2025, following Biren Singh's resignation, aimed to restore order, but tensions remained high. On May 16-17, 2025, Kuki-Zo representatives met in Guwahati, resolving to boycott central government talks until their demand for a separate administration was addressed, reflecting their desperation amid ongoing threats. International and national voices have amplified the crisis. In July 2023, a delegation of KUKI leaders met with the Ministry of Home Affairs, presenting evidence of state-backed violence, including audio recordings allegedly implicating Biren Singh. Church leaders and human rights advocates have labeled the attacks genocide, while organizations like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have documented the government's failure to protect civilians. A protest at Jantar Mantar on March 1, 2025, organized by the KUKI Students Organization, drew attention to the destruction of 249 places of worship and the displacement of thousands. Debunking the narcoterrorism claim. Cocomi's narcoterrorism narrative collapses when confronted with the evidence. While Manipur's location near the Golden Triangle may facilitate some drug activity, the conflict's focus on civilian target shows, places of worship, women, and children diverges sharply from a drug enforcement operation. The burning of the ambulance, for instance, had no connection to narcotics. It was an act of ethnic rage. Meitei mobs were not raiding drug labs or arresting traffickers. They were systematically hunting Kukis, destroying their communities, and driving them from their lands. Thank you for watching. Please do share this video and don't forget to subscribe our channel Zalengam Media.